Hey guys, how's it going? Kripp here. Today I want to give you guys a bit of advice and give you guys a really cool game that highlights some of the concepts that I want to talk about. I want to talk about the situation of setting up lethal, setting up your win condition within a game, and I feel it's one of those like very fundamental pieces to playing well and having good results in Hearthstone. And I think it's something that even mediocre players, even fairly advanced players, really screw up a lot of the time. So let's paint the picture here. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about. So, you guys have been in that situation where your opponent is like 2 damage short of killing you, and you have like 5 minions, and they have like 7 minions, and instead of setting up a situation where they could kill you next turn and clear your board, they just get you to 2 life. And then you have a board clear or a heal and you end up winning the game. So a lot of situations like that are reversed, a lot aren't, and in my opinion, these situations of failed 2-turn lethal setups come as a result of lacking of experience. So I want to fast forward that for you guys today and have you guys understand how it all goes down. So you're going to be in that situation where you're going to be very close to killing your opponent, but you really want to, deal with some of the board. What's the best way to handle this situation? The best way to handle the situation, really, it is on a case by case, but in general, the best case is to get your opponent to a low enough HP pool that you can kill them next turn, and you can accommodate for a little bit. So if you're playing against the priest, maybe you count for him healing for 2 with his hero power, because he'll probably do that if he sees that you have lethal on the board. But you can also account for spells in your hand. So, if your opponent is at 20 and you have 18 damage, and you can trade and you only will have, let's say 14 damage for the next turn, that's fine, because maybe you have a 6 direct damage spell in your hand to compensate for that difference. So these are things you have to think about. Sometimes you get punished for making these plays. Sometimes you make these plays and your opponent has like a heal for like 3 and it puts you just out of range again. But playing this way is much safer. It's much safer than, just getting your opponent just a low HP pool, because in some situations your opponent can have like huge burst potential, and out of nowhere you can lose games that you really have won already. And there are the other side of things that you can account for. So often it's not as clear cut. It's not as clear cut of, I can almost kill my opponent, but let me just kill a few minions so I can still set up for lethal next turn and be safe. You want to act that way, but it's not always that simple. Sometimes it's not very easy to remove what your opponent has on the board. You'll probably lose most of your stuff, and in some of those cases, you do actually have to go all out face. And, a lot of those can actually be the reverse as well. It can be your opponent threatening like, a lethal situation as well. And usually in some of those very narrow situations, Hearthstone being the game that it is, you have to rely on a little bit of luck in some cases, whether it's like a 50% chance to miss off an ogre attack or something like that. Sometimes there are crazy things that you can do, then you have to play the odds. And that's where it gets really interesting. Sometimes you have lethal, but you only have lethal, as in the clip you're about to see, about 20% of the time. So you're 20% lethal. How expensive is that? If you make a 20% chance at lethal, is that your only chance to win the game? Or is that really your only chance to lose the game if you screw it up and your opponent might have some burst cards? So these are all questions you have to ask on a case-by-case basis, but it's really important to understand the fundamentals and why you're making the decisions that you're making in the final stages of the game. If you can set up a 2-turn lethal in any safe circumstance, you probably should. You play around by board clears in these situations by removing as much of your opponent's board as you can and still setting up this 2-turn lethal, but in the end, you just got to be smart about it, and experience counts for a lot. So I hope I've helped forward that a little bit, and I hope you guys enjoy my very interesting example to come. So check out the clip, hope you guys learned something, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Keep a wild pyro, I guess. 1 out of 32. Well, it's typical stuff, man. Typical stuff.
Killing spree. For the wild.
How would I balance first versus second disadvantage? Board clears. Pretty easy solution, really. Let's hope he doesn't have kings or seal of champions, because if he does, I'm gonna lose. Okay. Well, it's just something you have to keep in mind when you're designing cards, I think. Damn, he had it. Got garbage.
Reporting for duty.
Let's hope there's no keeper. Please, no keeper.
Another night on the prowl.
Snakes. Infested snakes.
Please, no keeper again. No kings? Oh, that's a terrible attack.
Time waits for no one. For the wild. Reporting for duty.
And push lethal this way.
Light. Follow the rules.
Top deck keeper.
Some fish.
For the crusade!
Where shall I strike? For the wild.
Oh, here we go. RNG time. Huh, he has a legendary. 2 and 2 paladin. Of course. I don't think it's lethal because that stuff dies and it procs a 2/2 taunt, so I have to. No, I can't even use that. I have to use that. It's not lethal.
Time waits for no one.
Join or die.
For the wild.
It's not lethal. If you're spamming in chat thinking I missed lethal,
Will be purged.
I would encourage you to step back and try to play better. Okay.
Reporting for duty. The victory is yours.